another point I was talking about recruitment. The new manager, Ten Hag, has to have the final say on who comes in at the club as well. He has to be able to have impact in that area. Yes, he needs a team of recruiters who are going to be experienced enough to be able to go and get the players, but he needs to have his voice heard very much at that table when recruiting players. It's not about buying a player to sort out the culture. The manager's the driver of the culture, but you need lieutenants underneath. There aren't enough lieutenants in that change room, if any, at the moment, to drive that culture.
Sokin.
They can never do it like I. When you see man pull up and slide, man stepped in a room with legends, Rio and Steve, you know it's a vibe. Check the podcast, what you wanna know? Don't ask me, go and ask Joe. If you're talking Premier League, he's on the front line and I gotta go. It's a vibe with five, and you already know what it is. It's a vibe with five, and you already know what it is. Vibe with five, and you already know what it is. It's a vibe with five, and you already know this.
Shout out to our sponsors, Sokin this week. Champions League semi-final this week. Don't think we're going to be in it next year. Looking forward to Europe next year?
Of course I am, mate. Champions League music. We're back, baby.
Where do you want to go?
I really want to go to Turin, you know. If we can get Juventus, I would love to be there, man. For some reason, it's a dream of mine, and I can't wait to be using my Sokin card abroad. How many countries, mate?
38 countries, and I reckon United are probably going to need the really obscure ones next season. Right, you've got semi-finals of the Champions League and Europa League happening this week. You've got City heading over to Madrid. Liverpool are going to Sevilla. West Ham are heading out to Frankfurt. You've even got Leicester fans travelling to Rome. Sign up for a Sokin and make a game-changing saving on your currency exchange and payments abroad.
Man, all you got to do is download the app Sokin, and of course you can sign up for free today.
38 different countries, totally free. It's accepted by airlines, hotels, restaurants, whatever you need. Free. Sign up below. Go.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this week's episode of Vibe with Five. As you can hear, I'm speaking with bass in my voice this week because I deserve it. Got here myself, Joel Bayer, Stephen Howson.
It's a very different energy in this room.
How you doing, chaps?
Yeah. To last week.
Yeah, there's a very
and Rio Ferdinand. I just want to let you guys know that I'm not a smoker, but today I bought my e-cigar.
Oh, this guy.
Let's talk about it.
I hope you choke on the
smoke.
Listen, let's talk. Let's just get straight into it. I
What
don't want to
time's
hear.
the I Beat United parade?
Listen.
Let's start with that now.
Started on
Go
Saturday. It started on Saturday, mate.
Let's start with that now. Get to it.
Let's get to it.
You got a shirt. Next
you
time,
guys-
buy a shirt
how
your
you guys-
size.
What do you mean, bro? I've been in the gym working out, you know? Come on.
Go on.
3-1 against Arsenal at the Emirates. May I add, Arsenal, you know, besides the Chelsea game,
It was Arsenal and the ref. by the way.
we no, don't start with
Yeah.
that. We haven't been in the greatest of form. Yes, we beat Chelsea midweek, which I think really helped us. But Man United, I've heard people try to say that it was a good performance. Now, for me personally, you can't really like size that up against the Liverpool game and go, oh yeah, you know, because Liverpool was so poor, that was an okay performance. I think you had chances, and I think the game could have gone either way if Bruno had scored the penalty, but I don't think that was a good Man United performance overall.
Well, you get beat 3-1, you can't sit there and go, it was a good performance. I don't care who you are. I haven't seen that being said, I've got to be honest. But
United had moments. So
United
I've
had
gone
moments,
no
yeah.
further than
Like
that.
they had big moments. Referee had big moments. Listen, there's a funny meme about me. I've seen it. It's made me laugh. You got to put it
What
up,
meme
guys.
is it? What meme is it?
Me crying, right? But no, but when the referee does what he does, he was poor, man. You have to admit it. You know he was poor.
Hey, listen,
But
I didn't see it.
I'm not sitting there. I wasn't sitting there saying Man United deserve to win or anything like that. This guy's funny, isn't he? But let him have his moment. He's been waiting 10 years.
Go ahead.
But no, listen, Man United would never. They had chances in the game. Their best player on the day was Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's coming off the back of that devastating news about his family, and like for him to come in there and play the way he did, and in terms of setting up chances, he scored a fantastic goal. But for Man United, it wasn't good enough. It weren't enough, and yeah, Arsenal were there for the taking at one point. But Man United never smelt the blood.
That's going to happen in games. I think
I'm
you
not
guys
saying
are holding on to this.
I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying, I'm telling you the facts of the game.
Yeah.
Arsenal went ahead. Man United got himself back into the game.
They did.
And there were chances for Man United to take the game by the scruff of the neck.
They were.
Didn't have it in them to do it. And Arsenal went up the other end, like Scott McTominay said in his quite frank interview after, and said Arsenal went up the other end, one chance, not even a chance, one shot, a goal, and scored. That's the facts of the matter. So I'm not sitting there crying about Man United should have, could have, would have. It's just that Man United, at the end of the day, are where they are because they're not good enough.
That's true.
Simple as that.
They weren't good enough. I want to talk about the key moments in the game. Right, Steve. The VAR moments. First of all, what did you think of, you see when Eddie Nketiah scored and obviously it was disallowed and it went back to VAR and Saka scored the pen. Did you think Eddie was offside, first of all? I'll start with you, Steve. You thought he was offside? Yeah?
I don't get the...
Because his arm, I know the letter of the law is, it's got to be like his shirt in it, his shirt sleeve, but...
No, I thought the VAR stuff, I thought the penalty was soft.
Yeah.
What do you mean? From why they give it?
Yeah. And I also thought the penalty at the other end that we could have had on Elanga was just as much. It was all over him.
Yeah,
all
100%.
over him. He's impeded him. Simples.
I said the day of the game, Elanga won's a penalty. At the time I was screaming, it's a penalty. He's got his arm anywhere else on the pitch with your arm around someone's shoulder and he goes down, it's a free kick.
Yeah.
So why not, just because it's in the penalty area, it should have been a penalty. I agreed that
that was 0-0 then, wasn't it?
Tellez fouled. Is it Saka or Nketiah? He fouled Saka.
It was Saka.
Yeah, I think that's a foul. He knew he was in trouble, knew he weren't going to get there, fell into him.
Yeah.
So I think it's a foul.
Yeah.
So you can't argue the penalty being given.
Yeah.
I'd just say soft, but I think it'd have been soft on Elanga, but if one's got given, the other's got to be given.
Consistency is what you're looking for. But also the other one, the handball by Cedric, the right back.
Yeah, he was
that
crawling
was,
it.
he was he took 5 paces with his hands
he was crawling.
It was a disgrace. How that's not given is beyond me. It's unreal.
Is that what you were crying about on BT?
Yeah, I wasn't crying.
Because
I was crying, bro. I was crying. No, but what it peeves me. It peeves you as a fan. You're sitting there watching, and I'm thinking, if I'm in that tunnel, I'm waiting in that tunnel for the ref. I can't get to the VAR people, but I can get to him and asking, like, I'm going, what's going on there? Because like it's a disgrace, really. And even the Liverpool game at the weekend, you see that, and you're thinking they're getting it wrong every week now, consistently. You've got VAR's meant to help you through these situations. Do you know what I mean? So the people at VAR got them bloody shades on. Yeah, that's what they got at bloody Stockley Park.
I got a question. I saw your 6-point plan.
Yeah.
Not giving your boy any credit for that, no.
Wait, hold on. Before you go into that, because I want us to get into that. I really do. I want us to quickly stay on the goals, for example. First goal when Tavares scores. United's defence, again, a topic. You know, Varane looked like he was unorthodox. Tellez looked like he just swung at it.
Varane's missed the ball. I don't know if that's a rustiness thing or what. He just missed the ball. That can happen. That was probably the only mistake I thought he made in the game, though. I thought he was pretty good, Varane. And no, you can see 3 goals, everyone's going to disagree, but I thought he was decent, apart from that one bit of a clanger that he had. Yeah, Tellez and Dalot, the pair of them had a bit of a day to forget, I think, the pair of them.
But what it tells you, it doesn't matter what individuals are in there, United can see goals. Do you know what I mean? Maguire doesn't play. People are going on like Maguire is the only problem.
When was the last time we had a clean sheet? Watford?
This is what I'm saying. So
they're relegated.
So United is a bigger problem than just any individual. It's individuals, yes, but it's also there's many of them that are making mistakes, and you can't make mistakes. Listen, it showed me. I'll tell you what, it showed me that game watching it. I was sitting there thinking, wow, both teams are way off Liverpool and City, way off.
Better than you, Dan.
Not both teams, they're way off, mate.
Better than your team.
Way off. The quality on the pitch was nowhere near it.
No.
You can say there's great individuals here and there on both sides, but as teams, the way that they both played, if you compare that game to Liverpool versus City the week before, it's night and day.
No,
we can't find our arse with both hands at the minute, right? And we were carving you lot open for fun.
Yeah. Both teams looked like they couldn't keep the other one out. But it was just bad finishing on both sides.
Well, let's talk about finishing. Xhaka's goal. Xhaka boom, rocket.
That was offside
from outside.
as well.
Oh, here we go.
Offside as well.
Here we go.
Get that. I want that image put up now to see where the goalkeeper is having to look round Nketiah, who's offside. Once that happens,
this is the interpretation of the rule interfering with play.
He is. If the keeper's having to bend his neck round a player, that's interfering with play. But you know what? I take nothing away from these boys. You win, you deserve it. Well done.
Thank you very much, man. What about you?
What?
No,
What
but
have
you
you
know
got
what?
to
My 6 point plan. I spoke to Steve the night before. You know my 6 point plan. I spoke to Steve the night before. What are you
yeah,
laughing
talk
at?
about your 6 point plan, please.
I like it.
But we
Yeah.
spoke the night before. I spoke to a few friends and
I
few
want to know
people.
who else was in the mix. I want to know who else collaborated with me on this project.
Can't tell you. But I spoke to a couple of people just to get an idea of how the land lied in other people's minds who are genuine, and that's the key word, genuine supporters of Man United turning the corner and doing well.
Rio's 6 point plan is number 1, set the culture. Number 2, improve recruitment. Number 3, structural reset. Number 4, clear playing style. Number 5, embrace the youth. And number 6, develop players.
One of my suggestions didn't make the cut.
So what are you saying? You wrote, everything?
This guy's
Trying
mad.
to get all the props. Rio's getting
No,
other people
no,
to
no.
do his homework.
Can I tell him what it was? It didn't make Rio's 6 point plan, so you can't say he agrees with it. It was never mind.
Yeah,
But you keep, but let's be honest. You've been talking about setting the culture for a minute. I've seen you say this for weeks. You keep talking about culture.
No, we should start selling
culture.
T-shirts with that on.
Yeah, exactly. But setting the culture is just an absolute gimme. It's an absolute must. It's like you can't have a culture at the club which is right now where players aren't in fear of bad performances. There's no reaction to them bad performances. It's not the reaction that I want to see. Where
Mate, we've got about 13 fit players.
doesn't matter. I'm just saying the culture at the football club isn't that of fear of disappointing the hierarchy, the manager and stuff like that. It's like I don't play well. It's not my fault. It was his or
The blame game.
But not even that. You don't play well. You don't lose your
There's
place.
no repercussions.
Yeah.
There's no, at the moment at the football club there aren't consequences for actions on and off the pitch. And I always say this. I remember there was players who younger players when I was playing, and you might hear them booking tables or going out or something like that, and you'd throw the question, "Are you going out tonight?" Got game
You're
Tuesday.
joking.
And
Really?
then you'd leave it there.
Really?
And then the players know what to react. The reaction is then because they understand that if that gets back and the change room find out, actually they'll be looking at me differently.
So I want to drill into this because I don't think you got enough time to do it on BT. It's obviously very segmented how long you can do, but like we can go all day. We can pie the rest of this show for as far as I'm concerned. I want to know exactly what you mean by setting that culture in the dressing room because I think as fans, I don't think we fully appreciate how much you've mentioned it loads. Roy Keane's mentioned it loads. Two people I'm really going to listen to on this about the culture of the dressing room. It's the players that set it.
Yeah, right. So you got the manager. It starts there. That's why the manager is so important. People keep going, but it's the players. No, it's all of it needs to be working together. But the manager sets the tone. So if I went out when I was at United, any of the players went out at Man United in under Sir Alex Ferguson, he would know what mixer you're having with what whiskey and what brand.
I've heard this
He
before.
would know what beer you're having. He would know how many beers you're having. He would know what time them beers was consumed. He would know what time you left that place. The cab driver getting you home would know what time your key went in that
Especially
door.
with social media, can you imagine?
So that leads to
It's just pre-social media.
but that leads to I don't want to be the guy that is being reported on by someone in town to the manager. So
you must have slipped up.
of course I did. We all did. And
So
I'm not
what
saying
does
saying
that
that we
look
were
like?
perfect. It's not even a word that needs to be said that people just know that you've been out.
So you
You
went
reckon they
out,
look at
right,
you?
let's
They look
say-
at you the
They
next
look at you
day.
start. They
Next
look at you
day.
through.
All right,
cut
for
eye.
example, you lost to Arsenal on Saturday. You went to the boxing, right? You're retired now. Don't really matter. But let's say you was a player that went to the boxing on Saturday night. You're Fergie. I'm the player. What happens?
Also, it matters sometimes as well where you are in the league a little bit as well, and the form of your
Give
team.
me today's circumstances right now. It's Monday morning. I've just rocked up at Carrington. You've been there since 7 in the Racing Post, right? You're Fergie. What are you saying to me as I come through the door? Let's say I'm, I don't know, a midfield academy player or something like that.
No, you're getting drilled.
Right.
And it wouldn't be one person. That's the really, really important point. One person never managed the dressing room alone. You had Roy Keane as a captain before. It wasn't him alone who managed the dressing room, managed the culture, managed the punctuation, managed people's intensity in training, managed the professionalism. It was a group. It was a culture. Giggsy would look at someone in a way as if to say, like, hold on a minute.
One-liners.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and do you get a one-liner out of Scholesy, or you're going to Solskjaer. There's a list of people that would check people in their own way to make sure that people towed the line properly.
Look at how many captains you've just listed there, though. People that are, yourself included, Gary Neville. I'm sure Vidic didn't say nothing. Evra, I'm pretty sure, would have said something to someone.
It's looks enough, but also it's disappointing the group. Like, so there's a culture within the group that we have standards that are here every day in training and in the games. Also, none of us were saints. We all made mistakes, but our intentions were about making sure that our standards are here and not letting that drop. So going out and getting on the piss and being out and about looking mightily happy after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bad results, or 2, 3, 4 bad, 5, 6, 7 bad months, wouldn't have been the one.
Give us an example, please, of yourself, because obviously we don't want you to put anyone out there.
Yeah.
But you've either not played well, or it's a moment when you really shouldn't have been out. What did Fergie say to you when you came back into training?
Or Keno,
or whoever. Do you have an example of that? Surely you
can't think off the top of my head. I didn't really do that, to be fair. I didn't really do that. Oh, luckily, listen, we were in a team where we were winning a lot of times, so this couldn't really be levelled at us a lot. But I know that when we did lose, I've always said this, I had mates would come up for the weekend to go out for a meal, a planned meal for the last month.
You
It's been planned.
Dodge 'em.
And they would have to go out on their own or stay in the house with me, because I'm not going out. I don't want to go out. I don't feel like going out. I'm sitting here gutted, and I'm sitting here embarrassed more than anything. I ain't walking into a restaurant and people go, "Oh, you got beat today," because I'll flip my head. And then but
the converse is also true, innit? Like I kissed John O'Shea on the mouth after he scored the winner at Anfield. Yeah, I saw he was out with Giggs and Wes Brown that night. Just planted him right on him, mate. Are you mad?
But you know what it can be though. Some people go, but you got to have a life. I get that, but there's managing the tone of what you're doing.
I've spoken to some players and they've said that they like sometimes organise to go to each other's house because it's better that
that's
way.
Fine.
You know,
and because of social media, that's what you got to do. I don't mind you going and enjoying yourself; it's fine. But it's where you go, how it's perceived, and you've got to understand. You have to accept that perception of what you're doing is vital. You can't have fans that are sitting there paying their hard-earned cash to come and see you play football. You be shit, you get beat on a consistent basis, but you're right living it up. No matter what you think, I've got a right to live this life and whatnot. No. It's not the case in this game, in football. You have to appreciate how things are perceived, and you've got to manage that as best as you can as a player. That's down to you. You've got a responsibility to do that.
Now, that leads me to talk about the dressing room. Paul Scholes said that he had spoken to Jesse Lingard.
Yeah.
Social media went
he
mad.
He just texted me here, Scholes. Yeah.
They said Scholes has been snitching. What's your thoughts about that personally when you think about the dressing room? Obviously, I'm not saying that you know anything, but from what you can see from the outside and from what you heard from Paul Scholes.
What did he say again?
He said that
it's a disaster.
It's a disaster.
He said, I just spoke to Jesse. I'm sure he won't mind me saying.
Yeah, but I don't think we needed Jesse to say that, did we?
And Ragnick said, I don't know, you should ask Jesse. But obviously after the game, he added, it is going to be like that.
Yeah, and I think you look at Scott McTominay's interview after the game.
Yeah.
Where he was quite frank and open and was like, people got to look at themselves. And it was kind of leaning on the side of there's not enough accountability. There's not enough care, maybe. That's what it sounded like to me. And that's how I interpreted it. But we didn't need Paul Scholes to tell us what Jesse said. We knew the change room at United is in a bad place. They're losing games. There's no fighting them, which is one of the worst parts for me. They fold when it don't go their way. So that tells you there's a problem in the dressing room before anyone's got to say it. Whether you think Scholes was right or wrong is for another day. But I just feel that it's difficult. And that's why the culture, and that's why I talk about the culture all the time, and that's number one on my list, is the culture has to be right. Because you need to see, first and foremost, a work ethic. You need to see a culture of people not wanting to get beat. You need to see a culture of it hurting people. You need a culture of people, there's discipline in the group. Nothing's getting out. I remember stuff ever got in the paper. The manager would pull the squad immediately, and I don't think this happens now. The manager get that squad in, tight group, get in a circle. What's going on here? If I find out who is leaking stories to the media, mate, you're standing there thinking, I hope, and I'm going to find out that no one in my team has spoken to anyone in the media, because I haven't. But if it comes back through anybody else in my camp, they're getting the sack. They're going to be, because I ain't having that in my dressing room, that people have any idea that I'm doing that. At the moment, there's a mole in the camp. There's leaks coming out far too often that suggest this squad ain't like that. This squad ain't there.
You see the leaks from Ralph over Saturday night?
Well, Ralph's ones are just like...
What ones were they? Can you please elaborate for the viewers?
I'll get my phone's in there. So, in a nutshell, there was a big list of players that I don't think's up to it, and I think we'd all agree. Okay. There was talk about dressing room disharmony. There was talk about he's shocked at how ill-prepared United's midfield is to play high energy and tempo of a game.
Really?
Again, nothing that came out, would you go...
It's a shock, yeah. But it's just the fact
it was the fact that,
it's been leaked by a player.
No,
this was
the manager.
Leaked. I'm pretty sure Ralph has... I mean, he's working with journalists. I'm pretty sure this is how this has got out. And I don't mind this getting out in this way. I hope United are sensible enough to give this guy a full-time appointment. I hope Lawler and Marcel Bou going last week was clearing a couple of spaces for Ralph and for Paul Mitchell, hopefully.
I think sometimes some of the stuff that you hear Ralph saying, I think sometimes it feels to me it's not coming from a person who's confident that he's probably going to be there after.
Yeah, I don't get the vibe that... I think he's almost saying... And loads of people have disagreed with me on the streams I've done over the weekend with this. I thought the way he's addressed these problems is fundamentally different to Jose Mourinho. I felt like Jose Mourinho was going, look at all these problems is now I can do. Whereas I feel like Ralph's going, these are all the problems that we've got to fix.
Here's a solution.
Yeah, and I think he kind of goes, I know how to fix this if you give me the time to fix this. And I could be wrong on that, but that's my instinct is telling me that.
I feel like, I don't really feel like that, Steve. I feel like the worst that United get, and with the games being limited, his mouth's becoming he's leaking a little bit more.
Do you know the other thing on it though?
Because if, for example, I reckon if he knew he was staying for sure, I don't think he'll be talking like that. I agree with what you're saying. Where
I said on BT, I feel like he's alleviating himself from the problems that have come since he's been in there. His record is worse than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, by the way.
Yes, it's terrible.
Dramatically worse.
As a mitigation for that as well, I could give you a list right now, I think, of 10 players that we would all agree will not be there next year. Whether or not you think they should or shouldn't, I think these are players that we know probably won't be there.
But does that take away with the job that he's done since he's come in? He's been
players,
there since
them players were there when Ollie was there, though. Yeah.
I know, but they might have thought they were going to be there beyond Ollie being there or beyond the end of this season.
But isn't that the job of a manager, to still galvanise that,
and get the best out of
them and get the best of them? That you have to motivate. Like the worst one for me that he said that I think the manager shouldn't say. And this is what made me to believe that someone may be thinking that my time might be up here. But the standard in the training hasn't been up to scratch. Well, the manager drives the standard in the training. He sets a tone. I know that for a fact that when the manager isn't there sometimes, the standard might drop 1, 2, 3, 4%, just subconsciously.
Yeah.
So he is the driver. So it falls on him. It reflects badly on him saying that. Like I don't understand how he's going to say that.
And there's a lot of this. There's a lot of this.
Can't be asked,
there's a lot of this. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know what he does. I don't know. And it's kind of like, are you really supposed to be? This is not really an encouraging atmosphere here. If you don't know why Fletcher's doing X, Y, and Z, or you don't know.
I think we need this though.
Yeah. On one hand, I don't like it, but on the other hand, I do like to have a bit of clarity and answers for a lot of the questions that we're asking ourselves because we're not in the building. But on the other hand, I'm sitting there going, sometimes it's a bit too much information.
But it's the way it's done though, Rio.
The club need to do it themselves behind closed doors. What do you mean the way it's done?
It's the way it's done. So for example, it's like you said, it's kind of coming out like alleviating yourself from the problem. Oh, don't know what he's doing over there. Don't know what he's doing. Don't know what Mick's doing over here. Oh, don't know what's going on.
But at the same time he's saying that, like what Steve's saying, he's saying, but it needs to be like this.
When did he say that?
That's what he does. That's his game.
The reason these things are coming out is because journalists are asking him direct questions. And what does Mike Phelan do? And he can't go, next question. Like he kind of has to answer it. And if the answer is, I don't know, then the answer is, I don't know.
We're all in the media game here. There's a better way to answer that one.
But But I think even someone like, that's a good example, someone like Darren Fletcher. He got asked that question and he answered it. I don't know quite what Darren Fletcher's doing. Is that what he said? Yeah. But what I mean, Darren Fletcher's in a getting to know period as well of the job. He's new in the job and he's finding his feet and finding his home within the parameters of what's been set out for him. So That's why I didn't understand why he would say that. If he understood the appointment of Dan Fletcher, he wouldn't have said that. And that's where I'm baffled as like, either you're not fully briefed or you're actually trying to create a storm.
Or I go with the fully briefed point, because if he's asking why is he doesn't want him to get involved in this area of training, that area of training, it makes me wonder, how much power does he actually have? Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but surely Darren, who's part of his team, they should be able to alleviate to say, I don't really need you in training here.
Well,
I don't
he's on
need
his
you doing
bench.
this. And on top,
Yeah.
exactly. Because
There's
then,
no one
because
joining
then
my
it makes
bench without my say
because
so.
then it makes you think, why have you waited to come out and speak to the media to address that? I just don't get that.
Well, he obviously hasn't got any power because he's interim.
I just don't get that.
You ain't going to have the power. You're not going to give an interim the power to make massive decisions, for long-lasting decisions when you're an interim manager.
What I do like, though, I felt Jose was trying to protect Jose's legacy and get his next job when the wheels were falling off at United.
Hold on,
He does that,
Can I
though.
say something, though, Steve? Sorry to cut you.
Maybe, go on. Let me think where it is.
You say that about Jose, and I have to take some stuff back, I think.
Yeah, you should.
When Jose said this is one of his biggest achievements with
Maybe.
the squad of players that he had,
Everyone laughed.
maybe everyone laughed. I was like, whoa, how are you saying that? You're protecting yourself. That's what I said as well. Maybe just he wasn't. Maybe he was just bang on. He was right. He knew how bad this was going to get.
He was right about everyone.
He was right about a lot of things, but his way of going about a lot of things was also not right.
But you say that, but for example,
I agree, maybe.
look at the way he was trying to address the Paul Pogba situation. Now look at the way it's ended. Paul Pogba, for me, who I think is
Well, clearly the board chose Pogba
massive
over
talent,
Jose.
exactly. But he wanted more. They chose Pogba over Jose.
He tried to get
now look
Pogba
for the remainder
gone.
of your games. Listen,
He
is
wanted
he really injured?
he wanted Luke
Is he
Shaw.
injured?
I can't answer that.
Is he? Well,
He must be. He must be. I would never
He
doubt.
tried to get
his
rid of him. I mean, I would.
integrity.
I would. Some
I would
players.
have.
I'm not necessarily saying that's Pogba, but I know people have tossed it off.
Not Paul
But
Pogba,
he tried
no.
to get Pogba out the door. He tried to get Luke Shaw out the door. Now the way this has all gone, I could easily sit here and agree with him. But he wanted to replace Luke Shaw with Danny Rose. That wasn't the move.
He did want Maguire as well, but he didn't get him in time.
I think he also wanted my guy as well. Plays for Napoli. What's it called? Koulibaly.
Was the Sanchez thing? Was that Jose's call, or was that?
Who knows
above
with
him?
I
Woodward?
don't know. But another point, I was talking about recruitment. The new manager, Ten Hag, has to have, and I believe he will have, which is, I think, a positive, he has to have a say and the final say on who comes in at the club as well. He has to be able to have impact in that area. Yes, he needs a team of recruiters that are going to be good enough, experienced enough to be able to go and get the players, but he needs to have his voice heard very much at that table when recruiting players.
Did they reach out to you for real? Like, I know you did the video when you were like, you're not joining or whatever it is. Okay, cool. There's one thing you not joining, but did they actually reach out to you and say, listen, Rio, we might need you?
No, not at all. The Cristiano situation, Cristiano rang me and we spoke, and then I got involved in that way. But in
I'm
terms
talking
of
about
the
Ten
club,
Hag.
No, not at all. They don't need to speak to me about appointing a manager. Do you know what I
Not
mean?
appointing a manager. I mean, joining the team. I know
No.
recruitment and, you know
Okay,
what I mean?
yeah, no, not at all. I've not spoken to him about anything like that. So, fortunately for 5.
It's carrying on
Yeah, I
regardless.
thought Jose was doing it for himself a little bit. And I don't think Ollie was ever going to be real enough about the situations at the club because of his status as a legend of the club. And I think just his personality isn't to be someone that points the finger. So he was always going to leave in the way that he did. And I think Ralph doesn't have anything to lose. Why not tell everyone what it's really like at United? Yeah.
Sometimes you need to hear it, but I think sometimes some things are best kept in the club to sort out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's giving it to Mr. Arnold, maybe he's giving it to John Murter and everybody else as well. And you might be right that maybe it's not good to come out. But I think as fans, just knowing that people are at least aware of how bad it is a positive, because
I think looking at all the managers, because you're going through the managers there a little bit, we haven't spoken about Van Gaal, we don't need to speak about him and Moyes and whatnot, but I just think that they all lack something, didn't they? Whether it was, they all lack something. You just hope this manager can kind of knit it all together. I think the importance of the media and being able to handle the media is massive.
seems like he's got a bit of a rod though, doesn't he? Banned all English press as soon as he took the United job. I'm not talking to you, I'm not concentrating.
That's out of respect for Ajax as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but I like it because I bet previous regimes at United wouldn't have done that. They'd have been like, no, you're asking questions from everywhere. Deal with it. Did you see the way he shut down the bloke from Sky that went over to try and doorstep him as well? Yeah, and then the guy had the nerve to cry about it afterwards.
But he's got to be strong. He's got to have a set way in dealing with the media, because you like it or not, these managers, you need the media. As much as you might not like them, you need the media, because you live and die by the media. And I think that previous managers probably haven't handled the media as well as they could. I think Ollie, there was a lot of good stuff about Ollie, yeah. But I think one of the things that probably, when you look at it from the outside and you're judging him, I think one of the biggest things is that probably wasn't hard enough. And I know Ollie, for his nature, isn't as brutal and as hard sometimes as maybe as a manager might have needed to be.
But sometimes, and this is a question, right? Sometimes being hard isn't necessarily being shouty and being, sometimes it's about being cutthroat.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about like, no means no. Late means late. Late means fine. You're not going to play now. Just being brutal. Like, I just don't know if he had enough of that in him, because you can see it now with this under Ragnick. It's the same. There's not a hard enough spine in the person that's leading to go bang.
Do you know, need to buy that?
Huh?
Are we going to have to buy that?
I don't know, but I just, like I said, it goes back to my point about culture of people being fearless. They don't fear nothing. They don't fear coming in that changing room late.
You did buy it. You did buy it. You bought it in Varane. You bought it in Cristiano Ronaldo.
We're not fucking seeing it then, are we, Joel?
But I'm saying, but you can't say that you haven't. These are big boy personalities.
All right, are we going to develop a culture by voodoo, or are we going to have to buy players in?
But it seems like when you buy it, it's not there. When you bring it in through the academy, it's not there.
Wait, you know what you need more. I told you, just like I said before, it's not about buying a player to sort out the culture. The manager's a driver of the culture, but you need lieutenants underneath. There aren't enough lieutenants in that change room, if any, at the moment, to drive that culture and then to start building out.
Like, that's the start, right?
Building out of that. But you need people that are going to be like-minded and people that are going to buy into that. Now we look at the recruitment. No, but listen, you're not understanding. You're not understanding. There's 15 players that are probably going to leave the club. So how are you going to get them to buy into that culture? You've got to get rid of all that first. You can't say to a man who's leaving next week, come with me, follow me on this journey we're going. It's going to be a 2-3 year process. But he's looking to leave and duck out in a couple of weeks. You can't do that. So there's a process now that has to go where you're flushing out the deadwood and the ones that aren't wanted, and you're going to have to bring in a couple of players. That's why I always say it's not about bringing a world-class player in, it's bringing out the world-class culture that you can actually drive that changing room with. And I think that's so vitally important.
So now we're talking Liverpool versus Everton, Merseyside Derby. Boy, it was cagey, man. Like, I only saw the first half, if I'm really honest. And I was watching the game thinking, it's tight up here with them and City, man. Obviously it is, but if anyone draws...
Yes, you feel like it's over for you.
It's over.
Because they're going to win every game, it feels like. But Everton, listen, man, they frustrated Liverpool. They got under their skin.
They had chances.
They had chances, and you think, wow, refereeing decisions, again, played a big part. And Frank Lampard, I think he was right. I don't think it's that bitter and twisted just because you got beat kind of comment at the end of it. He said, if that was Mo Salah at the other end and it wasn't Gordon, it'd have been given. Yeah, and I agree with him, it's a fact. But they're the kind of leniencies or the little differences that you get when you're the top team.
You used to get it all the time. Did you know? Did you used to see
I knew that if you pressured the ref enough and the fans were up for that game, that a penalty might not get given against you. And if you get around, that's why we always got around a referee. The gaffer used to say, get around a referee, don't let him make an easy decision. Yeah, don't make him make an easy decision. He's got to think, this is a big one. Pressure. The fans, the players are on me. Fergie's waiting in the tunnel. Like, you make a human have to think about all those aspects. It does become a different... The mindset does become a bit different. They must get twitchy.
Would you do things like, for example, if let's just say you're playing Liverpool the first time in the season, or whatever it is, you're playing a team and you're giving him a hard time after the game because you know that when he's reffing the next time...
Yeah, but I'm in the tunnel before the game with a referee. Big game, ref. Old Trafford.
I love it.
Big game, massive game for you. I mean, and then you leave it there. Get them right today, ref.
I like talking to a ref really, really calmly.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And people scream at the referee, you got that right. Yeah. I go, ref, as soon as you make eye contact, go, I think you got that one wrong, mate.
So what's
And
the
then getting
referee?
red then.
What's the referee saying after that?
They just laugh. They just laugh. They just try and. But I know that it's a seed been planted, and also when you're on the pitch, then you're screaming. You talk to my teammates. I used to scream refs down all the time, and then they'd look and it's like a reaction, and I'd smile maybe. But it's like, or I'd say it's a green card, and he'd go, "What's that?" Like it's only yellow and red cards, isn't it? You can't have a green card. But just mad stuff, just to like get into them. But it's part of it.
That's psychological.
We get away with that as long as you don't swear at
But
him.
it's getting the edge. It's getting the edge.
Yeah.
Don't drop an F-bomb at him and you're happy days.
But when you look at Liverpool, I mean, they're in that space now where they're going to be getting decisions through player power, player pressure, the fans now.
Like at the end.
And yeah, you can see that. But I mean, go back to football. I think, listen, Thiago has been the standout midfielder for the last few weeks and a couple of months. He's been absolutely... I mean, you look at his stats. Thiago's pass accuracy, by the way, in the last two games against Everton and Man United, 98.4% against Everton and 95.6% against United. That is ridiculous.
Passes completed in Liverpool's 2-0 win, 120 passes by Thiago.
More than the whole team.
More than Everton's team, which was 94 passes. Like, he finished the game, like you said, with 98 pass completion. I mean, that guy is an absolute joke. You guys had the chance to get him all those years back.
Let's
and
move on.
I don't understand how that guy... Because it's not like he just became good.
Didn't you speak to him as well at the time?
Yeah, I spoke to him. He spoke perfect English, great guy, wanted to come to United, but now you look at him there, he couldn't be happier. And what I would like to talk about, just with Thiago and finish it with him...
We could have had Cruz and Thiago in midfield.
Thiago... You could have gone to probably a huge amount of the fan base at Liverpool that would have said after last season, he ain't good enough for us. He ain't the player we thought he was. German league, Bundesliga, slowing him down. Let's get him out.
Side to side, Thiago.
There was people in the... I saw ex-players, pundits talking about it, get him out his side to side, doesn't play the ball forward, etc. He ain't right, ain't ready made for this league. Players need time. And it goes back to this thing with managers, with Man United as well. The club need to give the manager at Man United patience. The clubs need to give and the fans need to give players that come in from other leagues especially patience. Sancho's another example. I bet you see a better player next season with Sancho, I'm sure. But he's a good example of that. Just special mention, please, Divock Origi.
We have to talk about Origi. That's what I was going to say. We need to talk about this guy. I did some stats research, actually, because you wanted to know when was the last time he scored, because he seems to pop up with goals. Yeah. It's actually been 10 games since he hasn't scored. Scored against AC Milan last, right? But they're important goals. When I was doing the research, I was seeing when you need them, tight games, he pops up.
Well, they're getting the use out of the squad, aren't they? I think one of the reasons Thiago's doing bits now is that he hasn't played every single minute of every single game for Liverpool, so he's fresh. And I think that's why you're getting a good tune out of him at the moment, is because he's not been running to the ground. And I think there's been players in the league this year that have underwhelmed after being really good last year, because they've been running to the ground. I think Harry Kane's poor start was a little bit of just playing every week sort of syndrome. And I think that's one of the reasons why Thiago's doing bits. Origi is one of those, isn't he? He's a bit of a cult hero at Liverpool.
A bit.
Yeah. And
he is.
And he comes off the bench and he contributes, and you need players like that are in the squad. He's not going to be knocking on Klopp's door going, why am I not starting week in, week out? He's happy with his role, and when you call on him, well, more often than not, he does bits, doesn't he?
And this goes back to my point when I've heard people slam squad players. Oh, he ain't good enough. He should never be at Man United. He should never be at Chelsea. He's rubbish. But players like him, you don't win the big trophies without players like him who can sit down for 10 games and not be worried, not moan at the manager, be perfect, be low maintenance for the manager, but comes in, gives you his all, understands the job requirements.
You usually say O'Shea was one of them. Like maybe played more games, but
John O'Shea played like 500 games.
No, I know, obviously more games.
But I know what you mean. Darren Fletcher at times was like that. You had Johnny Evans would come in sometimes. You had mate, you can't. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Teddy Sheringham, 2 goal scorers in the Champions League final.
Sometimes they're only going to get 15 minutes.
Everyone always knew Cole and York were the starters. Really, they were the main guys. But these two come in and become cult figures at the club because understanding the requirements when needed. And not moaning.
Can I just ask why Andy Cole's not been nominated for the Premier League Hall of Fame yet?
I don't know, man. It's unbelievable.
It's mad, isn't it?
Unreal. How am I not in there already?
That's mad as well.
Crazy.
But shout out to Righty, though.
Oh, I love that.
Deserve to be in there.
All the people that are in there.
Yeah, they all deserve to be in there. But to be honest with you, the reason why I don't sweat about it is because I know that within 5-6 years, everyone that needs to be in there.
If I'm waiting 5 or 6 years, bruv, I don't want to be in.
Nah, you
So
do.
don't
man.
say things
you
like
do,
that to
man. Either way, shout out to you guys who are in there.
Yeah,
Top
man.
stuff.
Yeah.
I also want to give a
Legendary.
massive shout out to Joel Matip, who we spoke about in our FIFA video, innit, with Anton Ferdinand here. And the guy, man, like, great passer of the ball. Says here, made 6 tackles against Everton, the joint most that has ever been made in a Premier League game. Won 100% of his 6 ground duels. The guy is on another level.
Yeah, he
man.
covered some ground in.
Yeah, I like the way he brings the ball out. You got Virgil's got the left to right ball, what he likes, and then most of his other passes is quite safe. But then you've got Matip who likes to find the number in that half space behind their midfield, which is a risky ball, but he's really good at it, and he's good at carrying the ball. I think
Key
they're a
to that
great
pass?
blend. They're a great blend.
Key to that pass, pace on the ball, do you reckon?
What part through the lines?
Yeah, that one for the striker's feet on the floor through breaking the lines.
Yeah, it's the
gotta smash
pace of the pass, but also it's the be able to give the eyes.
Like you're going to send
So
it.
you're going to send it over there, or you're going to go long and then you go in there. That was my favourite pass. I loved that pass.
That's you to Wazza, isn't it? That?
Yeah, I loved that. Or Berber, or Tevez, or Giggsy coming in off the left.
I want to move it along to Man City versus Watford. 5-1. Gabriel, Arsenal,
4,
Jesus, 4 goals. Hey, we're getting him, you know.
Good on
Yeah,
you.
he's your
We're
level
getting
player.
him. Yeah, no,
This is the
what
thing,
are
right?
you
He's
talking
gash
about?
and he scores 4 goals. That's how good City are. That you can be absolutely bang average.
You got to
and
respect him
score
a
4
little bit
goals.
more. I'll be honest with you. The best that I've ever seen him was in the 17-18 season before the World Cup. He was immense. Like, I thought, who is this guy? And I think he's gone from a goal scorer, which he was then, to he's changed his game a little bit, you know. But how City could be getting rid of someone like that just shows the quality that they have. And like you said, he's banged in 4 goals.
He's gash.
No, he's not going.
Come on, bro. Like,
He's got an XG of like 70. He scored like 50. That's literally gash.
yeah, but what he brings to the team though.
I think he
Sometimes
brings
it's
more.
like Danny
I
Welbeck.
think he brings more. Yeah, I think there's more to him. I think players will appreciate. You speak to players about him, they appreciate him because he puts a good workload in. He has got quality. He can find an. I think if he plays consistently in a team like Arsenal, I think he gets you goals.
Yeah,
By the way, Nketiah at the weekend, I thought was brilliant.
he was.
Held the ball up well, brought others into the game.
Don't need to be brilliant to beat us, though, do you?
Cool.
Yeah. Do you think City win the league?
Yeah. It's in their hand, isn't it? Like they're it's theirs to drop at this point, I think. And I know on paper it doesn't really mean anything. They're both stronger than their opponents on paper. I think City's running, even on paper, looks a little bit more doable. They're going to have more results where they put 5 past the team and it's just like whiteouts like that, where I think Liverpool
Preserving
have got
energy.
just a couple of those trickier ones. They could have dropped points justifiably at Everton this weekend. And some will argue that, you know, at 0-0, at penalty decision, you probably should have been looking at dropping points.
Do you think Everton stay up? Just talking about that game.
Nah, I was going to ask you.
They got a game in hand, right, and 1
Yeah.
point off. I
Yeah.
think that's where they're at.
And worst goal difference.
I'll be
which
honest
is
with
the
you. I'll be
point.
honest with you. They're going down, man.
Their run
I'd
is the
prefer
hardest.
to see them
And-
go down
yeah.
over Burnley, in all honesty.
What? Everton?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
But
Everton in the Championship would be fun.
but that makes you think though. All of us here were sitting here saying, how could they get rid of Sean Dyche? Burnley have won the last 3 games.
They've had the bounce back, innit?
The manager back. So then it means if they stay up, then you can't argue with the decision.
No, obviously, if you start, you deserve to. But we sat here before and said that West Ham are too good to go. The best team to ever go to get relegated. Got relegated. I mean, doesn't matter what you got on paper. You got to go out and do it. And I think Everton have been unlucky in a few games, you know,
Yeah.
where they've played well. And
We could have relegated them, Rio. How we get beat by that?
I know, mad.
Chelsea versus West Ham. Pulisic, 90th minute.
Did you see
winner.
Jorginho's penalty?
Brother, yeah, mate. You wanted him for Ballon d'Or.
Who?
You,
Go and wash your mouth out now. Go and wash
you
your
wanted him
mouth
for
out.
Ballon d'Or.
He shouldn't have even
You
been
know?
on the list. He shouldn't have been on the
Can't
list.
believe it. I want to give a massive shout out though to Ruben Loftus-Cheek because you know what? For me, I think this guy has the ability to be one of the best out there. A lot of people forget he was in the England team, playing well in Russia. You know,
He should be like Yaya.
he's got everything, Rio. But you know what? I want to see more aggression from him. More.
How old is he now?
But he's young. He's probably like 25, 20. He's
Yeah.
young enough.
You know what? I've seen him playing defence this season. Like it's mad, and he looks super comfortable.
Great.
And the manager's starting to trust him, and you're seeing a better Ruben Loftus-Cheek now because he can sense trust. He was top of a lot of the list, a lot of the different parts of the data this game this week. But I think he's somebody that they need to find a defined role in this team now for him and let him go. Say, go on, do your stuff, and now grow into and make some demands off him. I want more goals.
Chelsea have got such depth of talent though that he's not going to get that at Chelsea. Joe, if I'm Loftus-Cheek, I'd probably go somewhere like Palace. Start every week.
He was there on loan.
Yeah, he was there, and he did well there before he got injured.
No.
I think he's better than that.
He's a top tier player. Top tier player.
Better than that.
But that could be the difference. That could be the difference in having Chelsea, Crystal Palace, become a permanent member of the top 10.
But he's not going anywhere because you got Conor Gallagher coming back as well. It's going to be tough, man.
What about Spurs throwing it away, by the way?
Yeah.
Threw it away.
Conte's shaking his ass at PSG.
Bottled it.
Is he?
Offered himself for 2 years to PSG, apparently.
Wow.
Really?
You need to speak to Fab about that tomorrow.
That's winning.
For sure.
Like,
Speak to Fab.
If Conte goes...
Thursday.
I don't like Conte, right? But I can appreciate what he brings. If he goes to Paris with that team, forget about anything else.
I think Mbappe stays at Paris Saint-Germain.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard those rumours as well.
I think he stays. I've heard some decent little bit of information from somewhere.
Gazzetta dello Five Thursday.
Qatar royal family have thrown the world at him.
Also, Norwich, by the way, got smashed by Newcastle. Newcastle are on fire, by the way.
No one's picked up more points than them and Liverpool have this.
In the last 14 matches, after 14 matches, Newcastle were winless than rock bottom of the Premier League.
Might have had it wrong about Steve Bruce.
I was just looking at the Eddie Howe appointment thinking this is never going to work.
Joe Linton has come out of nowhere. Laughing stock at the club for 1 minute. Now he's a cult hero.
It's mad.
Hold on, Ward-Prowse free kick master. He's
Yeah,
going to beat the record,
season.
you know.
Wait,
he's going to beat the record.
Is this news for you?
No, he's going to beat the record, though.
Do you reckon?
I think he is, you know.
He's miles off Beckham, I think.
Yeah, not miles, not too far.
No,
if he bangs in, keep banging in 4 or 5 a season.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Four behind Beckham. He'll get it. He's young enough. He'll get it. He'll get it. We want to give a massive shout out to Wynts, who does the freestyles for us every week. And of course, his team that he plays for, Beatty Squad. Are they in the finals, mate?
I think it's the FA Sunday Cup final. Something like that. Is that the whole of Sunday Leagues,
I
like
think
FA
so,
Cup?
man.
Mate, that's unreal.
They're
well
proper
done, lads.
decent. You should get them to play
Paddock. Come play us. Stop battling it. You know what I'm saying? You got my digits. Let's go.
Till then, watch the freestyle done by Wynts. Peace.
A quick preview this week in the Prem. Got Ten Hag at United, confirmed next term leading the men. Paul Pogba's done free agent, run out the contract. Rudiger 2, won't be no blue, no stress with the agent's contacts. The Gunners hold to the devils of the carpet, load that smoke. 3-1, peak 1, fight for the fourth, come like I mean 1. Jesus star of the week, no doubt 4 goals. Class be permanent, and it shows normal, you know how it goes.
Oh man, guys, this has been an amazing
Euros for England.
Amazing Bible 5 episode.
Put your shades back on. Put your shades back on and just let it feel it, because you ain't gonna last long, man.
Can't wait to see you get turned inside out in the Champions League next year.
Shut up. Is that what he has to say?
You've been playing once a week.
Do you remember what it sounds
What you
like, that
gotta
music?
Yeah,
Do you remember?
Nah, it was a shock still. When I went to the United game, I went United, I played a
Oh,
couple. Wow.
I forgot to play that music.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, when Cristiano Ronaldo has to hear the Europa League music?
No, I got a plan, right? He watches Emmerdale on Thursday nights, right? And we sign a striker just to be our Europa League striker.
I don't think
Prolong Cristiano.
I don't think Cristiano should be allowed to play Europa League.
I agree. Text him that. Just say, listen, we're gonna put together a GoFundMe. We're gonna bring in a striker.
They should buy a
You can have
striker to go and
Thursday
play
nights
there.
off.
I can't believe what you lot have done to Cristiano, you know. Your club.
Anyway, listen, thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great week for us, Man United fans.
Joe Bayer, Stephen Howson, Rio Ferdinand, and we will be back soon. Signing out. Peace.